Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tales to Testimony. This is episode 4, and this is very special. We have a very special guest, Nehemiah Kulothungan. He's a pastor, he's a worship leader, he's a songwriter, and he's one of the most beautiful and humble human beings that I have come across. He knows how to host God in the most beautiful way, and I am so glad for you to hear his journey and for you to hear what he has in store to share about his life. We'll just wait for him to join in.
Be here any moment. Hi,
Hey,
hello.
Abdela.
Hi, Nemo. How are you, Nemo?
Very good, very good.
So I just introduced you to the people
Yeah.
if you have heard that. But if you were to introduce yourself, how would you do that?
Wow. Okay. So introduce myself. I would my spiritual answer, which I've been giving recently, is I am a son. So I am a singer-songwriter, and I have been writing all my life. So yeah, I love to write about life and also pastoring in a way from a distance in many ways. And yeah, I'm a father also to quite a few children across the world.
Oh, wow, that is beautiful. So let's kickstart with the questions. The first very question would be that you tell us something about yourself, about your childhood, about your sibling, about your family, just the beginning of you.
Okay.
How?
Um, awesome. So my childhood, I was born and brought up in Nagpur and in Maharashtra. I'm wearing the Nagpurian t-shirt, represent. And so my parents are from Tamil Nadu, and they
Okay.
moved to Nagpur much early in life. My dad was in his early 20s, and my mom married. They got married in Nagpur. Me and my brother were born in Nagpur, so we're pretty much Nagpurians. We're pretty much from central India. I have my Tamil roots. But my parents also have been more like for 40 years in North India and only like 20 years in South India. So even they're more of North Indians now. Yeah. So my brother is now studying. He's in a music college in Germany. I'm
Wow.
right now here in married and in UK, living here um, in a way, experiencing God move in a very new way this season, which is in rest. And my parents are in Nagpur still, and they are serving in an organization which they are founders for as well
Oh,
for
wow.
40 years.
That's amazing to have such parents.
Yeah.
What was your school life like and your college life? Were you a studious student and school and college you were this famous singer or something?
Oh my goodness. So in my school, so one thing that happened in my life was, so my parents used to travel a lot, right? They were
Okay.
always on the move, and I've had times where we've stayed at villages where there's literally no electricity, no toilets, even no beds maybe, and we've seen animals come in that area. We've seen snakes come. Like, it's really interior villages sometimes. That's how we grew up initially. Not like we stayed there, we stayed in the city, but my parents traveled so much that we got to visit a lot of these places, stay there often. Their work is in the rural areas, and they still do that passionately. So growing up, there was a lot of moving happening, and that caused us to shift many times. And
Okay.
that was, now I can look at it like a blessing. Not at that time. That time it was very painful because every 2 years we kept moving our house. We kept moving from place to place. Also, not from the city exactly, but our home, our house kept shifting so many times. So, so did my school. So this is
Oh,
an experience that I like to talk about sometimes, and good you asked. So my friendships, when I go to a school, say I was so shy. First of all, I'm a South Indian in a way. Like, my parents still spoke the Southern language. So I was still a little not cool in a way. Like, I didn't know the Hindi slang. I wasn't cool. I didn't know what happens in Bollywood. I had no idea what latest songs have come. So I was this outcast already. So plus I was as I mean, yeah, I was still quite heavy when I was younger. And so I was really, a joke in class. And so when I used to go, I used to feel very shy, very scared, very insecure. So by the time I learned to say hi to somebody, like say ek saal ho gaya hoga, like it would have been a year. And then by the time I actually be like, hey, this is my name, this, and where are you from? Tab tak ke school change ho jata hai.
Ayo.
And this has happened 10 times. I have been in 10 different
Oh,
institutions. We've shifted our homes 14 times or so. So even if my home area, agar gali ke bahar, if I come out and if I'm like, hey, let's play or let's talk, to pehle to I would look from the window for like a few months. Then probably I'll go and be like stand nearby. Finally, jab I'm probably near and they're like, okay, you want to play, tab tak ghar shift ho jata. So
ayo.
I don't really have great you know friendship memories from school because there were, but yeah, there was always one, or one person or somebody, one or two people who were kind, who were sweet, so I remember them, of course. But yeah, that was a tough season of constantly shifting, nothing being consistent, which also showed in my nature, in my personality. I started to
Yeah.
behave very inconsistent also because with so much changes now, I'm used to changes, and I didn't like to be in one place anymore. And
Oh,
it worked out in a way where I want to change. I want to be in a different place. Like 10th, I was in a different school. 11th, I was in a different school. 12th, I was in a different school. All three different cities. So imagine that 10th and 12th are like important, right? So 10th I was
important.
in a different city. So my friends, some people have friends from first to 12th, and they have these long-term friendships. So I think that's beautiful. I look at that sometimes and I feel like, yeah, but college life was different. And yeah, now of course life is different. Now I've got friends from everywhere, and there's actually I was saying this at Live Jam, and I used to do tours as an artist. I used to tell the kids that throughout my life, I never really had friends as such. People used to invite people for birthday parties. They'll actually skip me. They'll come here, they'll invite this person, they'll come to me, they'll be like, okay. They'll invite the next person. I used to feel very sad about it. Now Facebook says I can't add any more people on my Facebook friend list. I'm like, okay, so God can turn everything around. And yeah, I look at that as a blessing now because I'm very um, I can adjust to any changes now. So that's a good thing. And
That's a good thing.
yeah, yeah,
So growing up, like it was surely not the perfect scenario
of
that
course,
you
yeah.
like talked about. But what were the highest grays for you in your life? These gray patches were there like very evident for you as a growing child.
By gray, you mean sad, like really sad ones?
Yeah.
Wow, highest. Wow, we straight away got into the topic. Okay, so I think I think being misunderstood was something that used to happen a lot because I wasn't a great communicator. I couldn't communicate what's on my mind. I I don't know if it was the grammar, I don't know if it was my language, my vocab, or just my expressions, or because whatever I wanted to say, I never could. And maybe that's why I started writing about these things, instead of trying to talk. Yeah. So initially, I remember one of the saddest things. It's lame now to say it, but in school days, there was a simple misunderstanding which stayed in my head for a very long time because someone assumed something. And assumptions, like you said about the show, they do have effects, even though you may not, you may think it doesn't do anything, but it can have long-term effects. Like I'm talking about something from sixth grade, like seventh grade. Of course, thank God that I'm in such a healed place right now. It has no power over me, and I know the truth. But back then, I think I used to feel like if someone puts a tag on you of something, that's it. That's who you are, and that's how the whole world is gonna see you forever. So I couldn't communicate stand up. Say, let me tell you a funny one. It's not funny. It's sad, but it can be funny for some. So this math teacher in class, she asked me a question. Sweet teacher, she may be watching, so she asked me a good question. But I'm this kind of guy, so shy that answer jante hue bhi, I know the answer. I know it. It's a simple answer. First of all, I take time to stand up. Like I'm like this slow motion, like And then after she asks me, I'm like I want to say it, but I was that shy. I was that insecure. I couldn't answer. So the neighbor answered for me, and she said, you know what, just get out of the class. And I remember that feeling because I was like, I know the answer, I understand the concept, I'm not able to say it, and so those things were small things, and those happened so many times, which is one of the reasons why I became a teacher. For a while, I worked in a school. I served as a teacher, and I felt I want to be the kind of teacher who can understand students. I mean, it's not her fault. It was me. I should have opened up, but I get students now, and I understand where they come from. So, yeah,
That's so beautiful. Like, though it like harmed you, like even if you look at it as small patches, it all gets add up and it somewhere affects you really badly.
true. Yeah,
The
yeah,
the just the fact that you can't speak up can cause so much of harm.
true, true.
Yeah. So uh, I wanted to ask the next question would be like it's going to that way, so, but I still want to ask that. Were
Okay.
you always a confident person and an extrovert person who will go around and talk, or how was it? Like when did it change? Because if I, since I know you, you're a person who would sit and talk to people
Yeah, yeah.
and communicate. Even no, like could be anybody, but you'll do that. So, how would you say, like, when it did that break, if that was not the case, you were not the confident one or you were not the extrovert?
I think
How did
now
that
that I
happen?
look back, thanks for that question. But as I think about it, I think every time I thought I was confident was probably an attitude or was probably a cover, and now I actually realize it also because there were times where people may have thought he's got it all figured. He's clear. Especially like my 10th grade. I don't know if any 10th grader friends or 12th grade. I know one 12th grader friend is watching and responding. So if, especially, at that time, I had this cover that I've got it all clear. Like I figured it out. Um, but to be honest, maybe that was just, one line we say insecurity acting as, inferior complex acting as superior complex.
Oh,
So it's like this. It's like you feel insecure, but you don't let them see it. So you let them see that you're actually very bold and confident. So I think if you ever seen any of my friends, if you ever seen me confident back in the day, it was probably that. Plus, I was a very insecure person throughout. It was one of the major things. In fact, if you've heard the song "Teri Marzi," just one line, two line from it, when I say मैं जहाँ हूँ तेरी योजना है मैं जैसा हूँ, the very fact that I say मैं जैसा हूँ, you can't translate that in English. I mean, I've thought about it. We put an English translation, it doesn't make sense in English to me actually. What I actually mean by मैं जैसा हूँ, I mean जैसा हूँ, my nature, my behavior, my character, my personality, मैं जैसा हूँ, my accent, my tone, my facial expression, my hand moves, or whatever, मैं जैसा हूँ, तेरी रचना हूँ. To accept that, it took me years. It really took me years. I mean, it took me my whole life. I mean, until that song came out. So, in fact, only when that song came out is when I was actually like processing that whole fact that hey, this is I'm
wow.
created in. So, I was not confident. To answer your question in short, I was definitely not confident. I was always shy. I always felt, you know, how do I explain it? I never had the courage to go up and initiate something. Maybe that's the way to say it. I never had the courage. So I was never the initiator, never the leader, never someone who stepped up and said, let's do this, guys. Like now, I'm that guy. But I wasn't that at all. And yeah, I think a lot had to um, do with my relationships. My parents are such a blessing to me in my life, and they have been the pillars. They have prayed, and they stood with me throughout. But when I was younger, I felt they were not around. That's just what I felt because that's probably how a child processes things, I guess. And I had a feeling that you know, they're not around much. I've stayed with strangers sometimes, and sometimes strangers have stayed with me. And that whole process of growing up, I feel like when I have kids, I'm not having strangers staying in my house. Point one. Yeah, and so I feel like that's something that really, when I was younger, made me feel. In fact, this is the saddest thing. I mean, my parents might watch this. I want you to know I love you. But one thing that I felt, there was a moment in life where I actually felt, मेरे parents कौन है? Like, and that was a tough phase as well because I couldn't get it. I saw people in different relationships in different families, and it looked different, and I couldn't connect with that because when people are involved in the mission work, I think they're so involved, which is one reason why I take a step back and I'm like, I wanna spend time a lot with family, and take out time to sow and bless people, definitely, but definitely want to have my family time a lot because I want that to be healthy. That's something I've prayed about, longed for, desired for, and that's exactly what my marriage looks like, and that's exactly why God brought me here also. So yeah, so growing up, those were insecurities, fears. So definitely not confident, definitely very, very insecure. Yeah.
Ah, I can relate to a part of your parents coming from a missionary family.
Yeah.
I know how it is. Like your parents actually get sold out
Yeah.
for Christ, and
They're
sometimes
the
the
most
family,
faithful people I've ever met in the missions, I tell you.
yeah. So I would say kudos to your parents because being a pastor, being a leader or worship leader is much
Hmm.
more easier. Because being a missionary where there is no fame, nobody might never know you also,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you still
Still
that
faithfully. Yeah.
yeah, fire you have for Jesus, you do everything.
That's honestly
That's
why I
so
really, really respect them a lot because
yeah.
it was never about what people think or what they say. No recognition, no views, no likes. They just served faithfully. So, and they still are. Right now, everything's gone online. They're still faithfully serving online. So, really appreciate them.
So nice, so beautiful. So I wanted to ask, your name is Nehemiah, and that's such a common name in the Christian world.
Yeah.
So was it just a name for you, or did that name stood out for why your parents put it or something, or was it just Nehemiah for you?
So, and again, I used to hate the name.
Oh, is it?
I'll tell you why. Um, I mean, I don't normally use the word hate, but I really want to say hate because Nehemiah, what is it? What is, the rebuilder, the cupbearer? It's a book in the Bible. It's an important character. It does amazing things. Great. But what does a 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old care about that? Especially in school where friends say Neha, Maya, and they made that
Oh,
into two girls' names instead of one. And I was
oh,
teased Neha, Maya throughout my life, and that was really tough because already I'm shy, and no teacher. Plus, I told you I kept shifting 10 schools. Plus, I told you we kept shifting houses, so people could never say my name right. Plus, who can say your name right? I mean, who can say Nehemiah properly? Like in India, at least, I think it's a Hebrew name. It's maybe people overseas might get it, but in India, people are like Nemia, Niha, Niha, Niha. Like so, every time the attendance would start, the teacher would look at and be like, nah. I'll be like, present, ma'am. I would know that's me. I would be like, that's me for sure. And then everybody would laugh. So that was a very difficult thing, right? But the beautiful side of Nehemiah, I mean, coming to the serious side of it, of course, is my parents apparently both had the name individually. Like it wasn't something they planned. They both had the same name individually. And when they spoke to each other, they were like, this is the name that the Lord is giving me. This is the name the Lord is giving me. And it felt like it was the
uh,
right, same name. So definitely from God, point one, because both parents agreeing on one thing is a miracle, and they did, which is has to be God. So And they named me Nehemiah, and my dad said he's going to be a rebuilder of broken walls, where he probably, was focusing on structures. He's going to do something with, rebuilding systems, rebuilding organizations, rebuilding beliefs and faith systems, etc., etc. Like he really had like missional goals for me. My mom comes from a background where she felt I would be rebuilding broken lives, and they both said that to me probably at different times or same times, I don't know, but whenever they did, that stayed in my head that this is my mission. Nehemiah is going to rebuild what is broken. So I have very consciously been this guy who wanted to rebuild if there's anything broken. Like, I see a relationship broken, I somehow have to put my hand in it. Of course, now I have wisdom when to and when not to. Back then I did. So I somehow have to try and solve the problem. I'm the problem solver. I'm the peacemaker. That's me. Like throughout my childhood, I grew up thinking this is what I'm created for, right? Which is not wrong. Which is what the right motivation
Yeah.
I had throughout. But last year something happened. In fact, I can say about 7-8 months ago something happened, and that shifted my whole view of Nehemiah in a fresh way. Like after all these years of my life of thinking it's rebuilding, it's lives and missions or people or things or walls. Um, should I go ahead share this as well? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, you can.
so it wasn't a happy experience because I was in Singapore, and okay, I gave too much information already, but I was in a place where I was with a family, and there was my best friend was with me, and another person came as a guest to that place, and for some reason the guest said something very offensive to me, and I've been in a place where no one has offended me in the recent past, at least in the past 1 year, to that extent. And suddenly I didn't expect it. Like childhood, expected it. It's like, people will hurt you, like for sure. I mean, that's what I'm here for. Like that's what it felt like because I was constantly hurt growing up. But last year was a great year. I was having a good year. It felt like, oh wow, we have Sanktere happening. Oh wow, we have bridge music happening. I stepped out of my work. I'm doing a lot of interesting things, traveling. So it's a great year. Suddenly, this person says something very hurtful out of nowhere, and I'm this new person who has changed now. I can't respond the same way I used to back in the day or, react. So I just got up, I said, excuse me. I turned around, went to my room where I was staying, and I probably teared and fell off to sleep. Immediately, I felt like this warm hug around me, and it was beautiful. And suddenly, I had this, um, I won't say they were words, but like this assurance of my name, Nehemiah. I felt like God speak and say, Nehemiah, more than rebuilder of broken walls and lives, is comforted by God, which is what it means, and I will comfort you. Man, I tell you, that changed everything about the name for me. Because until then, it felt like I was trying to be this person Nehemiah is supposed to be. But that event made me feel like I am not trying. I'm going to overflow out of this comfort, this love that I experience right now.
Wow.
So really that shifted everything for me after experiencing that. Nehemiah really means, that's what it means in Hebrew to anybody who's listening to this. Nehemiah means comforted by God. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow. That
So now I'm proud of
was
my name
your
and I love my name. Now I'm happy to see my name.
so nice. I'm so glad that you love your name. I'm so glad that thank you for sharing this. This is
Yeah.
so wonderful. Uh, Somebody could actually live their name that
Yeah.
not many people do. And even when I believe you were considering yourself as a rebuilder, you were never wrong. You had such a good vision, I would say, to go ahead. Like there are so many Nehemiahs, they are just for namesake. They are not even like bothering about it.
Please don't say that. They're
But
probably
then,
watching. Don't say that. But yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. The name
yeah,
has value.
but
Yeah.
the name has value, and for you to embrace it all your life
Yeah.
is beautiful, and how greatly you put about how God came and embraced you and told you
Obviously.
the way He looks at this name and the actual way of Him creating this name at the first day. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is very beautiful. So my next question is: were you always a worship leader uh, from the start? Because you were like pastor's kid, so
You've
always
got
there.
you've got great questions, by the way, I must say. So,
Thank you.
I so this is the thing. I never thought I'll be a worship leader. In fact, uh, in fact, even now, I don't consider myself in as a worship leader as such, because that whole concept is a little yeah. But I like to call myself definitely a worshiper, and again, you may think that's a spiritual answer, but what I mean is, I never thought that I would be doing what I'm doing right now, because I was never some. So worship leader, what are the few criteria that you think of when you think of a worship leader? You think he's got to be have leadership skills, he's got to be able to sing, probably got to have learned to play music as well, have theological understanding, know God. I mean, first of all, know God. I had none of these things. So, so there was no way that, I mean, I had musical skill. That was something I always had. Music was running in my family. My grandmother used to play the mandolin. My mom used to play the
Wow.
guitar. So not
Wow.
used to, she still plays. And so music was natural for me, but leadership, no. Leading others, no way. And yeah, and singing, definitely no. As in, I used to sing, I remember, but I never thought I would have the courage to hold a mic and stand in front of people, and sing. I've never done that. But I remember a time when God shifted it for me. It was 2014, and I was I was in a Bible school again in Singapore, and at that time, um, how much time do we have? Yeah.
You
So,
go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
So at that time, there was this worship team singing in a foreign language, and I felt God speak to me and say, "You're going to sing in that foreign language to thousands of people."
Wow.
And logically, it didn't make sense, because
Yeah.
first of all, I don't know the language. Secondly, I didn't even sing in front of 5 people. Forget thousands of people. and I can't even sing in front of 5 people. Point. I can sing behind, hide behind the worship leader or the singer, do harmonies, which I've always done. I can be behind the band and play something, and he has to sing softly with this distance from the mic so that my voice is not that clear and I don't have to hear it. But to sing in front of thousands of people, that's the shift where that happened. I actually went to the very nation, Indonesia, and on a mission trip. And when I was there, so it was not planned. I was just supposed to share a testimony in a church. So we went on a mission trip. There were so many people who were on the mission trip. Everyone had a role. One person will lead, one person will preach, one person will share testimony. You know how mission trips are. So everyone has to do something. So for me, I was supposed to just share a testimony at like a youth group where like there'll be 10 people or so. And I love small groups. And I'm full of myself. Like I can really expose myself in like small groups. I'm like, let's do this, guys. I love you. Let's talk. But in crowds, I would freak out. So suddenly the leader, the pastor of that church, he says, he out of nowhere points at me. He points at me and he's like, "You will lead a song in the main service." Something like that. In his language, of course. I didn't get it, of course. So his daughter came and told me that pastor wants you to lead a song during the main service. I'm like, and he's like the senior pastor, and it's a huge church. So now I'm starting to get nervous. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a big church. What do I sing? And then I thought that year I had written a new song in English, and I actually had Bahasa speaking friends who can help me translate it. And I actually sat with them for a whole week, translated the song, and I had practiced it. It was in my heart, but I forgot about it. That moment I remembered I actually know a song in this language that I wrote and we've translated.
Wow.
So I went up on stage and I sang it. There's a video of it. Maybe I'll later share it with you. I sang it,
Sure.
and I tell you that moment, I sang 2 times, and the chorus came. God actually said to me, "Stop singing." I stopped. Okay, I have these moments where yes, I stopped singing, and he said, "Open your eyes," because I never open my eyes when I sing. I don't know if you've noticed. So he said, "Open your eyes." I open my eyes. I look, and God literally spoke to me saying, "I told you you will sing this language to thousands of people. Look." And that church had 3,000 over
Wow.
people in that, 3 to 5,000 over people in that service that time. And I was the only person standing right there. And you know what? They still sing that song, it seems. And I stepped down and they continued singing that chorus. So that was a moment where God said, "I have actually ordained you for this. And you're going to go to
Wow.
nations, sing in languages." So that's a personal purpose and goal that I want to, pursue as well, to sing in multiple languages, because I really love
Wow.
languages.
So beautiful. Such a beautiful way that God deals with people.
Yeah.
So next question. Not many people know that you are a pastor, and not many people know that you played a role of a pastor. So you were pastoring a church in
Yeah.
Nagpur.
Hmm.
So I want to know, how did it happen? When did you become pastor? How did that mold came in your life?
So I did serve a year as an assistant as well, pastor in Bangalore, under a pastor where I really was trained initially. I learned a lot of things. That's probably where I actually learned to sing in front of people. There were 10 people in the church, 10 to 20 to 30 max, but that's where I actually learned to sing in front of people and pray and all of that. The whole leadership role I learned there, like how all the functional things, how you do all these things. Because from my heart, if you ask me to speak, I can teach and speak and sing constantly day and night, but there's a order that I probably need to learn that I had no idea of. So I thought, okay, I want to see how people do it. I want to work with people who do it. So that's where I learned a few things. um, the first time I baptized somebody, the first time I shared the communion, the first time I preached in a sermon, like a proper New Year sermon. Like, it was, to me, like, I was young. To me, it felt it was 5 years ago. To me, it was exciting to be like, the pastor trusted me to share the New Year sermon. My goodness, I need to really like prepare. So I really put my heart into it. I shared about something, and he was really blessed. He shared. He was very proud. So that experience was my initial stepping into a pastoral role. In fact, the first person I baptized along with, was actually my own younger brother, along with the pastor.
Oh,
So that was very sweet. And then from there on, it was a journey where I learned many things. I made mistakes. I definitely learned from them. I understood, okay, these are the things that happen in a church, how I wanted to be different, etc. Came back to Nagpur. And then, honestly, it was always in my heart. So 10 years ago, 2010, God enabled me to be leading a band, which never came out really, but we wrote 40 over songs together. And at that time, we never thought about it. Like, now I think about it, 40 songs, like, now it feels like a crazy thing. At that time, it wasn't like that. It was like, yeah, every day, write something, write something, write something. So they weren't like mind blowing compositions, but they had whatever we were learning, we put that into words. So that was technically in my heart that it would become a church eventually, because we were a band of, say, about 14 people, and they were all juniors in my college, and I was the senior. So like I said, my college life was different, and I was the senior. We had a music room type of thing in my house. We set up all the instruments around. There were mic stands. We had a wooden plank just to call it a stage, so just a plywood type of thing kept in one corner, made it the stage. Really set up a room where people can practice and prepare. So I thought that would be a church. So since 2010 itself, I had this heart that I am someday going to plant a church. Uh, just that my view of church planting has changed. So my dad is a church planter. They've planted over 600 groups all across Maharashtra. Uh, so,
wow.
but but so in my heart, I wanted to do it as well, of course, but my heart was very urban. My heart was, I didn't have
Mm.
the rural gifting which my dad has. My dad can speak in Marathi. My dad can, he he's very chill. You should actually talk to him. Someday you should interview him in a way. But he's super chill. For me, right, I'm already this very careful person, sensitive. I'm already shy. The max I can go all out is when I'm worshiping. That's all. I mean, the rest of the time, sports, games, you will not see me shouting, jumping for trophies when people win. I'm like, yeah, wow. Like, I'm that guy. So, but uh, yeah, sorry, I lost my thought.
It's okay. Pastoring the church in
Correct.
Nagpur.
So 2017 is when it's a long story, but uh, it's a time where I felt it was about time. That's when I actually released Piche Nahi Mudunga, which was Sang Tere's demo version for the first time, and uploaded it on my basic. It was my brother playing some keys, me just singing one take, maybe two max, and there's a GoPro kept just to record the process. Fast forwarded, put lyrics in, uploaded. Because I felt 2017 was a year for me. I somehow believe in numbers. I believe in seasons. I believe when it shifts and I can sense it. Since 2010, I could write. In fact, I used to write since my fourth, fifth grade. But 2010, I felt I was stepping out of a previous life and stepping into a new life. And but God said, "Don't step out." Like I really felt it wasn't time for me to release any songs. And 2017, I felt God say, go all out." And I didn't know what all out meant, but I was like, yeah, I'll try. So I started with this song. I said, this is one song which is very personal to me because that has a big story as well. That can't cover this, but yeah, that has a big story. So 2017 is when the church started, and what happened is I still don't call it a church. I wanted to never use that word. I wanted to say ecclesia. I felt like I went and I studied, I went and I
Wow.
read, and I felt church seems like an assembly, seems like an organization, seems like a systematic, or yeah, company. But I want to call it ecclesia. I mean, that's just something I had in my heart. And hope has been the message constant because I've been the most hopeless fellow. So for me, hope has been the most important thing. And the verse that kept speaking to me was house of prayer, house of prayer. But then again, it's so also overused. Everywhere there's house of prayers everywhere. So what do I do? So I had this house of prayer ecclesia started in 2017, which I abbreviated as HOPE. So it comes out as hope. And that's what I launched in 2017. We had about it wasn't something I planned. It wasn't something I launched with like a logo, with like a name, with like a announcement. One person came home, who's the initiator, I would say. I'm gonna be on a call with him tomorrow. Someone I really love. He came home. First time I met him after ages, and then when he came home, we prayed about something. Nothing related to his personal life. Nothing related to anything. We prayed about something, and he's just supposed to leave. That's all. While I'm praying, I look up at him and he is freaking out for some reason. And I see that, in fact, I saw something and I saw words coming out of his forehead. I felt like an image of words. So I looked at him and I'm like, you know what? Let me pray. And I started praying against words, against lies. And he got delivered. He got filled by the Spirit in that moment. And he was like the first believer of that movement. And
Wow.
within 3 days from that day, he never left my house for 2 days. And within that moment, God kept bringing people into my house. And another two people came. Similar things happened. They got delivered. They got baptized by the Holy Spirit. They started praying in the Spirit. Another person came. So I have 3 rooms in my house in Nagpur. Upstairs, there's this guy shouting, "Revival Nagpur, Revival Nagpur." And he's not even from Nagpur. And then there's this other guy in this room crying on his knees with his guitar. I gave him a guitar. He's
Wow.
crying on his knees. He's like, God, he's like praying and saying, "God, I believe you." And there's two guys downstairs. And then another two people come in the living room. And this is past midnight. It's 1, 2 in the
Wow.
night. And in my house, there's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 8 to 9 people totally praying in different rooms. And I'm this, counselor kind in my head thinking, I've kept this one in this room. I need to manage this one in this room. And so I'm trying to like balance the time. Then I felt God say, why are you separating them? Bring them all together. And I'm thinking, नहीं पर ये तो यहाँ का है, वो वहाँ का है, और ये यहाँ का है. And God's like, just bring them together. So I brought them all together. I said, guys, come to the living room right now. They all came to the living room. I tell you, we prayed constant for 12 hours. We worshiped, we cried, and God was doing a new thing. And that's what became the church initially. No more people were added. People came and went to see what we're doing. People came just to see क्या होता है देखते. Let's have lunch together, those kinds. Because it was more like a casual home thing. People come home, sit, I share the word, we worship together, and that's it. Happened for about until I had to step out, of course. But it also didn't last for very long. It felt like a move just came, and then maybe God just, stepped some people away. They're still connected to me, but that's when I really got that it started. And I've never talked about this, but thank you for asking. This is the first time this is going live, and so this is the name of the fellowship. And when I go back to Nagpur, which I'm really longing to, I think that's something which will be one of the first things that relaunches properly. And yeah, I should stop.
Wow.
I can go on.
I know. That's very beautiful. Like in between that, you mentioned Sanktere. I want to ask like two things about Sanktere. One, we got to know that Sanktere was not completely the complete song, or was it the complete song at the first time you wrote it? It was
Okay.
perfect.
Hmm.
And I also wanted to know what all changed after Sanktere for you, or like nothing at all changed. How was it?
Okay. So Sanktere was previously called Pichani Murunga, again written back in 2014, and written right after I experienced deliverance for the first time. So the biggest lessons I learned in 2014 is that Christians need deliverance too.
Oh, wow.
And
So true.
I grew up thinking it's not the believers who need deliverance, but that's when I realized for the first time 300 over believers in the room, all manifesting and experiencing deliverance and healing from the Lord. And so I experienced one at that time as well, which was emotional healing of all things. So they were praying for multiple things, and that happened. So right after that happened, this was my covenant. It was my prayer. I felt God speak to me and say, you're going back to India. You're going back to Nagpur, Maharashtra, of all places, and let's be practical. You don't know Marathi that well. You can understand it, but you do speak Hindi, and even if not, I'll put the words in your mouth. But you should start writing in Hindi, because I always wrote in English. So that's another fact. I've
Oh,
written many, 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 many songs in English, because my thoughts were always English. My mom was an English teacher. My dad and mom spoke to me in English. We learned English, so I read a lot. Friends नहीं थे तो books दोस्त थे, so I read a lot, and so I could only write in English. So पीछे नहीं मुड़ूंगा is in fact I really thought it was cheesy. I really thought it was very simple Hindi. I really thought पीछे नहीं मुड़ूंगा, हार नहीं मानूंगा, बढ़ते रहूंगा. Like I thought it's like the simplest Hindi possible. I never thought of it like a declaration, like an anthem. I honestly never thought of it. I really just, and you know how it happened? It took 5 to 7 minutes. I was playing these chords. That's all. I was just playing the D, the E minor, the G, just the chords in that process. And suddenly I felt I was increasing the chord right from D. It was like first chord, the higher chord, then the higher chord, then the higher chord. The music made me feel like I'm growing somewhere. So in that moment I was starting to just speak it out. I was like, मैं पीछे नहीं मुड़ूंगा, मैं हार नहीं मानूंगा, मैं बढ़ते रहूंगा. So that just became a song within like 5-10 minutes. No effort put in, to be honest. It was definitely spirit filled, definitely God given. But here's the thing, I thought I will never share it,
oh,
because I'm not the guy who wanted to upload it. I mean, I never knew YouTube uploads. I never thought of Spotify. I never thought of these things. For me, it's a personal covenant. That is something that is only for me. So why should I sing it? But here's what happened. My best friend, again, in that Bible school right there, he's the first person to hear the song. So I went to him, I showed him the song, and I said, bro, this is what happened last night. And he was, I think, tearing, excited. He's like, man, it's amazing. It's going to bless people. You should share it. I'm like, no, no, I'm not sharing it. So then that just ended over there. Yeah. I went back to Nagpur, and we have a youth camp every year, which we go for. And it was this youth camp that year. Great youth camp, very like it's a great moment. I'm singing, I'm leading. It's a great moment, and at that moment I feel God speak to me and say, sing Piche Nahi Mudunga. I'm like, no, God, that's between you and me. I'm not singing that here. But I really felt him say, sing it now. I was like, okay. So I started the chord and I started singing Piche Nahi Mudunga, Har Nahi Manunga. I tell you, there were about 100 over people in that youth camp. I personally felt, that's just what I remember. I felt everybody recommitted their life to God again. And all of them
Wow.
were in tears, all of them were moved. And honestly, I probably became slightly distant at that time. Like I wasn't really feeling that great at that time. So I stepped down from the stage after I finished singing. I ran behind, the buses where we had the buses. I stood behind the bus and I remember just something that I do sometimes. I look up into the sky and I cry or talk. I look up into the sky and I'm like, I'm so sorry. मैं सही में पीछे नहीं मुड़ूंगा. Like, I was like, I really will never turn back. I'm like, you used that song here. Yeah, you used my life as well. So I kind of recommitted on that same day at that
Wow.
camp. Of course, nobody's seeing me. It was just me cheering like anything. Then here's what happened. Someone from that camp learned the song, took it to Nagpur back. Someone from Nagpur learned it, took it to Bombay. Someone from Bombay learned it, took it to Orissa. Someone from Orissa took it to Kerala. And in Kerala, the pastor of the church learned the tune and was humming it. And who happens to be sitting with that person? My best friend who first heard the song.
Wow.
And he heard the tune from the pastor and he's like, what are you humming? And he said, this is a song some lady came to church and sang. And he's like, this is my friend's song. How did you get to hear it? And then he called me and he told me, you know what, someone came from Orissa here, someone came from Orissa from Bombay, someone came to Bombay from Nagpur, and the song traveled. So I realized if a song has started to travel to places I have never been to, it's about time I start singing it. So I started singing it everywhere, of course, anywhere we needed. But I would never oversing it. Like I would hold it back like my best weapon. Like I would like I'm not gonna bring this out until it's really necessary. Like desperate. Only then. So Sang Tere is completely fresh. It has a different perspective. Piche Nahi Mudunga is more surrender, is more covenant, more committing, more making a decision. So I thought of it like an altar call song. I thought it's the song after the sermon. But with bridge music, it became the first song. It's like, see the battle mein entry. We're not going to go right to the end for this. We're going to start with this. So it shifted, the words changed from it being that to a very declarative song. So that was the first part of your question. Still,
Yes, yes.
I think we need many live videos for this.
No, no, no. You can
And
go ahead.
so, in short, though, so what changed after that? Personally, inside, not much. Because when the song came out, a lot of people started treating me differently. That's what changed. I used to feel like I really thought life, and experiences like this, when people get to know you, people get to hear you. I thought more people love you, in fact. But I started to realize more people have higher expectations and more, they're more critical of everything you say, everything you do. And it's actually a tougher experience to experience than you think. You think it's just exciting to get known. In fact, it's not. I would rather prefer being unknown, going back, playing keys in the background for my leaders, and I think that was a safe place to be to me. But I guess that's the risk, that's the cost of stepping forward. And yeah, so what has changed? I think nothing inside of me has changed. I've just become more confident. I think I've become. It really became like a conversation starter for me. because I went to a engineering college once in Bihar, and they told me, "Hey, listen, this is a group. You can just lead worship and sing." I said, "Okay, great. That's something I can easily do." That's what I thought. I stepped in, and then suddenly the leader comes and says, "Oh, sorry, nobody here is a believer."
Oh,
I'm like, so what did you want me to do here? They're like, I don't know, just talk, I guess. And that's this saying right before I had to step up on stage, right? Somewhere around that time. I'm like, oh no, I really thought everybody's a believer. I'll just close my eyes, start singing, they'll all connect. I don't need to, like, do the whole warm up thing and, sewing thing initially. So then I just did this. I said, I felt, and I know it made me feel also very vulnerable to do this, because I'm not someone who wants to show it in a way like, hey, I'm Nehemiah, like, of course. But I felt like this was wisdom from God, where He said, play the video for them. So I
oh,
actually asked the guy, can you connect the video to the mixer or something to the screen and just play it for them and then call me up? And it was very vulnerable for me to play it and watch it also and sit there, but then played it. I tell you, the whole room's atmosphere changed. And then when I stepped up, I shared a testimony of how I said, how you can see this right here, smiling, laughing with a jacket, nice lights, guitars and all that. My life was never like this. And I shared my life story, and I tell you, by the end there were tears in that room as well. And I felt, wow. So this song has actually become like, a tool. I've been able to use it in a way where uh, it's immediate to the point. Like, I don't have to slowly first think about what they think about me, then etc. Then try to introduce. They quickly get started from there. So I'm glad that the song is a great blessing as a tool as well. Use it for live jam throughout. Told everybody. People laughed at my Hindi. People said Hindi mein baat hi mat kar. I needed Hindi tuitions, extra tuitions, because I couldn't speak proper Hindi. I failed in Hindi many times, and I struggled. I actually cried. I struggled, and I said, "Now see, I wrote a song in Hindi, and there are million people listening to it. So God can turn that around for you." And I was encouraging people
wow.
in schools. So praise God for that.
So nice. We have more questions, but you
Okay.
will definitely, we have like 6 minutes before the live ends, and we will surely not, you won't be answering the next
I-
question in 6 minutes. So
okay.
I would better end it here and
Okay.
then join again. People, you can just join back. I'll just connect in like 1 minute, most probably. So you can come over. And there are more questions and there are more fun parts coming,
Okay.
and you can enjoy with us.
Thank you. You've been a great host. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
You're
round
back.
two, part two.
Yes. Um, so we'll jump into the next question. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with Santere before and after, and what all it did for you
Yeah.
and through you. And thank you for not holding it in and sharing it out, that it would
Thank
be a
you.
blessing to many. That's one of the favorite songs, I believe, of for everybody in the Christian world. It personally has blessed me so much. So
Praise
yeah.
God.
So
Yeah.
coming to the next question. So how did you met your wife? And how was your road to marriage look like? Was it easy? Was it smooth? Was it all perfect? Or how it all started and how was it?
So, if I have to say in one line only, this is the only thing that had no hindrances.
Wow.
Literally. I mean, this is the only thing that felt like surely God. And from the way we met initially, from the way we, both spoke to our mentors and, were praying, even fasting. We didn't know we were both doing it. I didn't know she was fasting and preparing and praying. But I was, and then later we found out we both were around the time when we even first met. So from there on, it just felt like the most smoothest ride. Like it was just like I never had to struggle or make it happen. For the first, it really felt like, wow, this is so naturally God. And I think that's one of the best things, that was the clearest sign, the clearest sign. I remember one of the first things that I asked her while I spoke to her was, I mean, this may not be relevant to everybody, but to me, I was like, do you pray in the spirit? Because I felt like that was something that was personally important to me. So, and then she seemed sensitive to the spirit where I was traveling. I was on a mission trip to Bangalore. And while traveling, she called me and she said, I sense this happening right now. I'm praying for you, covering. And this is when we just started talking, maybe the initial few weeks or into it. And I felt, actually months maybe. And that's when I felt, hey, this is good. This is what I've longed for. This is what I need. This is exactly what I prayed for. This was the first time also that I was scared to take it forward, even though it was smooth. Like I was very careful in my words more than ever before. Like I used to recheck my voice notes before I sent. After I sent, or before sending, I'll voice note you can't recheck. So you know what I do? I have another group chat which is only me, and I'll voice note there. I'll check how it sounds. I'll check the accent. I'll be like, हाँ ये सही लग रहा है, हाँ यहाँ expression सही है. Then share it. And yeah, now I don't speak like that. I think now she can tell ऐसा बात नहीं करता है. But I really tried hard initially to carefully talk properly. So I was very conscious of that thing, of my efforts this time, and never easily said love until until I actually met, until it actually went to that place, because I was very scared. I was like, this is a very big decision, because we're both in a place where, one of the things is, both were in a place where we were looking for our partner in a way for the long term. At the same time, both had had experiences where we did not trust the opposite sex. Like we just felt this is again something vulnerable. But I was experiencing something where I felt, no offense, now I'm healed. But at that time, I personally felt, I think generally women are, it's tough. Yeah. And she had the same view. It was a little bit more difficult word, which I'm not using, but are the same. I had generalized it. I felt that this is how it is. Same for her. She had generalized it until we met each other. And we were like, ऐसा भी एक बंदा है. And I was like, ऐसी भी एक लड़की है. That's interesting. So that's where we actually like started speaking. We were really good friends. We have been friends for a very long time, actually, online. Met through a mutual friend, a cousin, and it was 2013ish when we first got to just connect with each other, know each other. We probably spoke once a year. And when I mean spoke, not like calls, more like one text message, like probably nice DP. Like that's all maybe. Like, I mean, not true. That's not the line. But I'm just saying, started with 2013, 14, 15, 16, one time only. So maybe 4 messages max. That's it.
Wow.
But 16, I was applying for my US visa. And I was going with my dad on a mission trip. In fact, my dad was already there. I was going on a trip. And it was an amazing trip planned out, Washington and California and all that amazing, 1.5 month over plan, which I'm so excited for. So I was very excited. क्योंकि बचपन से I really wanted to go to America. Okay, and I remember I used to be so confident. I used to tell people, I'm gonna go to Seattle next year. Like I बहुत confidently बोल रहा था. आज तक गया नहीं हूँ, but I really liked it. And I was, when my college, I applied 3 times. I applied, actually got in, and then I got scared, or maybe then we thought, okay, it's too expensive, stuff like that. But school times, we always thought I will someday go. Yeah, never happened. So, but this trip seemed fair. I felt, okay, I can go on a trip and just come back. So when we applied for the visa, I thought when you apply for a visa, it works out. I never knew about visa getting declined. I've never heard of that concept. So I go to the embassy, I go stand in the line and all that. The previous day is when we caught up after like a long time, after like a whole year, where she probably messaged saying, what's up? And I said, hey, I'm going for my visa interview tomorrow. So all the best. That's like the first conversation which led to us getting married today, which is why I'm sharing this. So so I went to the embassy, and the visa person, he's like, what do you do? I said, this. He read. He's like, wow, you're a singer. Wow, you're a worship. Wow, you write. Wow, you went to this school. Oh, wow, you studied this. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, I can't give you a visa. I really thought he's joking. Because I'm like, इसने 10 point wow बोला, last point sorry क्यों बोला? मैं समझा नहीं. That's not the way you break up. I mean, you slowly do it. So he directly said that. So I was very like, I didn't know what to do. If I turn around, there's 100 more people looking at me like, what happened type. If I look at him, he's saying no and turn around. So I'm really in that place like I literally felt the weight in my leg. It felt like I was वहीं गाड़ दो. Like it felt like I was so embarrassed. So, but I actually asked him sorry. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm like, why? I mean, sorry. But he's like, he gave me one slip. He's like, yellow, padlo. I was like, I looked at it general points. So anyway, I turned around, went back. I was very heartbroken. Because it felt like finally I'm going. Finally, I'm on a trip, and I felt like I deserved it also because I had a very tough year, and
Okay.
I felt like I deserved it at that point. I felt like I had such a heartbreaking year. I had so many hard things happening. So I think this was like the moment for me. I was imagining all these pictures, places, profile pictures that will come for the next few months and all that. Anyway, so I went out and I went back to the room. I don't call it depression, but I was extremely sad, extremely, as in I didn't want to talk to anybody. I know it feels lame now. Like now, I feel like God will give me like a great visa and be like, I'm inviting you to US, of course. But at that time, it felt like a big thing. So I felt hurt and all that. So that's when she called me out of nowhere. She messaged me out of nowhere, and I have never shown my vulnerable side to anybody until that day, to that extent where I was just so broken in a way where she said she felt sad for me. She's like, I want to call you, I want to talk to you. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And I was in this small room in Bombay, very cheap looking room. She's calling from Dubai. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I didn't even care how I'm looking, what I'm wearing, how I just started. But she really was a comforter at that time. And I felt very comforted. And from there on, we became friends actually. And now I'm married. She's right beside me, but she won't show her face. So yeah, yeah, it's been a beautiful journey.
So, so some visa cancelling is a good thing.
Yeah, visa cancelling is a good thing. You could get married to the right person in life. So that's it, definitely.
So we come to our last question. Uh, what all has changed from you moving from India to UK?
What all has
Or nothing
changed?
have, or have nothing changed? It's the same for you.
Okay, that's a very tough question, but I'll tell you why. Because I'm still probably processing it. Um, but what really changed was I loved being on the move, and I cannot be in the same place for more than 2 days, 3 days. Third day, I'm like, show me a new place, show me a new person. Like, I wanna speak to someone else. I wanna be at some other place. I wanna do something new. And I'll be very honest, that's me. That's just how I have become, like, or I had become. That's what I should say. And here's what happened. I come here and I haven't moved out of this city for 5 months, 4 months. And plus the lockdown, so I haven't moved out of the house for 4 months. And yeah, चाह कर भी I still don't have a visa to exit. I mean, I came in with an entry visa, but I've applied for a long-term visa, which is still pending. So they say it will take 6 months, which means another 3 to 4 months, possibly. So I'm waiting for my visa. That means I can't even exit. And I feel like I'm on the real lockdown. And I feel like this was a year where God really brought in rest in my life. Because and I realized there's a pattern that I was following. Like I said, my parents, they are always on the move. There was a day when I called him in the morning, he was in Hyderabad. Called him in the afternoon, he was in Bangalore. Called him in the late night, he was already in Delhi. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
He lives like that. He is always on the move. And it's not just cities, villages. He would be, you won't know where he is. That's the whole point. So when people ask me, where is your dad? I'm like, I don't know. I'll really say, I don't know. And my mom hanging out with him became like him as well. So she also continued traveling, and then she's become like a board member for other organizations and a leader for other organizations as well. So now both of them do these extensive travels, even overseas. Both of them are doing. My brother caught up that nature, and I became the same guy as well. So there was a time where all four of us are in different places, and we're all traveling different places. That's our family in short. So our unity was all in video calls, I guess. So we were really we love that. But again, I feel like that is something that in the long run will not be healthy. So I feel God just in the initial year of my marriage itself wanted to sort that out, and actually brought me here initially in the beginning itself and said, you know what, first you need to understand your wife. If you're going to be ministering for the next, say, 50 years, you can be on the move all the time, but you need to know your partner really well. So I
So
think
nice.
this is really the time for me to. And you know what? When I came here, I felt God. I came to UK to spend time also with her. Definitely because I'm obeying you. One of the most toughest obedience points because I love Nagpur. I
Yes, you're
love
an.
India. I've constantly been saying I will. In fact, you know how boldly I've said in stages saying, मुझे नागपुर में जिंदा गाड़ दो. Like I will die here. That's how much of an impact I'll make in this land. That's what I've said. I've said this in public. I've said I will never leave this town. And the next thing God asks me is, do you love me more or do you love Nagpur more? And
Wow.
I'm like, God, you're putting me on a spot. I've already announced to people that I will never leave. And then, after I came here, I realized one very major thing why God brought me here. There's a town nearby, and a church family took me to that town. Apparently, that's exactly where a major revival happened in UK, in Wales, in Europe, where millions of people in 1904 were saved. Millions of people were saved.
Wow.
And it all started with a prayer move. It all started with a revival move. And I got to see that place. I got to stand right there. I got to see the person who was the initiator of that movement, as in the picture of him, of course, and all his texts and all his writing and where he prayed, where he sat, where he played the keys and all that stuff. And I actually touched and played those keys and sat there. And I was like, I felt the weight of why God brought me here. I felt like God didn't ask me to choose between Nagpur and him. In fact, he showed me how much he loves me to show me this place and to remind me of my purpose and why he chose me. So I've come here enjoying rest, forced firstly because of the lockdown, but secondly because of the visa, and thirdly definitely because God, firstly that should be, is surely wanting me
Yes.
to rest. So last year, a lot of great people prophesied over me and said 2020 will be a year of rest. I never thought it would be like this, but it's yesterday. Sam called me and to remind me not to burn out because even in a lockdown, I have been really active. I have on a day we recorded 6 songs in the evening. I have a small setup now. I'm able to work a lot more. I'm able to do all these calls and meets happening every day. I have a small workspace room kind of thing, cute space now where I go in the morning. I probably come out late in the night, but I won't do that. I'm supposed to rest, and I've scheduled it. So that's what's different here. I think it's also preparation time before I come back. So I don't know how long. I don't know what. Also, I know God wants me to do something here in the UK. So I have started to see what, and those are exciting things as well. But for later. But let's see how those things go also. So excited for that. Found a nice church in this town. Wonderful. Joined the worship team also, and it was great.
So nice. Where like we all might be like everybody watching, and especially me, will be excited to see what God does through you there to take you in such a place, to keep your wife there and join you together. And
Yeah.
it all sounds so beautiful. And I know that this marriage has a purpose. God bringing
100%.
you together has a purpose, especially being in UK when you had all your heart set for Nagpur,
Yeah.
picking you out and setting you there to show how much more He has for you. I'm very excited for what all comes ahead. So thank you for answering all the questions. Now
Super.
we have fun part ahead. So the next session is rapid fire round.
Okay.
So you know how it is. You have to be like really quick. You can't think. Okay, you have to be like really quick.
Will it put me in
Okay.
any trouble?
I hope not.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So the first question would be how many Nehemiahs you know apart from yourself for sure and name them.
Okay. I know Nehemiah Abraham, first of all. I know Damien. I know Johnson. I know Bauer. There are four at least I know well. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Second question would be are you a proud Tamilian or a proud Nagpurkar? By now I know your t-shirt speaks for it.
For sure. No doubt.
Okay. So what will you choose if you had to one thing for like the rest of your life? Would it be leading worship or would it be being pastor or preacher? Like only if you could do that one thing, what do you choose for the rest of your life?
Oh my goodness. Can I
It's not
reason
gonna
it?
happen.
I can't reason it. I can't
No.
give you reasons. Okay, pastor.
Okay, nice. Uh, so if you could trade your life for one day with anybody in the world, who would it be and why? For one day, anybody like
Never
around the
thought of
globe.
this.
I'm giving you an opportunity.
In the world, it has to be just a what questions? Oh
Human.
my goodness.
Human.
I want to be Modi ji.
Oh, really? Why?
Hey, you didn't say there will be why questions. It was rapid round,
No.
rapid fire. Okay, fine.
No,
fine.
no, I mentioned it.
Okay,
I
okay. And
mentioned
why?
it. If you
Okay.
could, and why?
I honestly, I'll tell you what's wrong with dreaming. I would love to be the Prime Minister of India someday. And
Oh,
yeah,
that's nice. Okay, next question. One thing that can annoy you easily. Fast.
there are many things, but one thing that should annoy me easily. A wrong chord.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. There's a long story to it, but yeah. I have actually got
Okay.
out of places where wrong chords happening. I can't listen to it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So the first thing you did on your wedding morning. It was not too far. You should remember it.
I'm thinking, okay, so no, I checked my phone.
You checked your phone. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Okay, so the last rapid fire question would be, tell me of three worship postures that you is common for you and you do always, and you have to do it.
Oh my goodness, how do I? Okay, I'll have to worship to think. Okay, I think I like this. I go all like
Okay.
when I do this. Maybe one hand
And
sometimes, like really like. Yeah.
okay, nice. Thank you for showing us. We are done with that, and next part is photo flashback. So I'll show you a bunch of pictures of
Okay.
yourself for
Okay.
sure, and you have to
Okay.
tell me what is that picture about, why is that so, and all
Okay.
about that picture.
Oh God.
Okay,
Okay.
turn the camera. Okay, tell me about this.
Oh my goodness. I can tell you the whole story.
Yes, you can.
So this was my birthday, and I am sitting near the telephone because I had few people whose landline numbers I had, and my parents asked me to call them and invite them home. So that's why the phone is there, the landline. I probably even remember the landline number. And that's my mom's guitar. It was a Gibson guitar. It's a mini guitar, but yeah, that's where I learned my first G chord and C chord and D chord, I guess. And yeah, I'm happy because it's my birthday. I still have the same hairstyle. Yeah.
So nice. Okay, so the next picture is,
Oh, there's
uh,
next also.
oh, there are many.
Oh, so this is at an auditorium in Nagpur. This is backstage, and we were about to lead a long worship set, and yeah, someone's idea was, I don't know who it was. Somebody from the band said, "We'll click a good picture of you." So that's
Okay.
supposed to be a good picture.
Oh, okay. If you say so, I'll believe it's a good picture. Okay, next. Tell me why.
Okay, so this has a very good story. I this someone gave me this guitar. This is Singapore. Someone gave me this guitar and said, "Here, use this." So I used to find quiet. I used to live with a family, so I couldn't always sing out loud. So this is a garden, a park somewhere, and I went to the garden, and which where it's nearby some residential areas, but far from the buildings. So I went there to sit by myself and just play. And I think that it was Bible school, so we hardly slept much. So we used to sleep for like few hours max. So I slept off. That's not me acting. I have actually slept off over there. And
Really?
yeah, and a friend of mine has clicked that. And I'm so scared for the guitar right now. I can't believe it's staying there. But sorry for the guitar owner. That was a big risk, but nothing happened. You know, I returned your guitar back to you. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I also feel, I think
Okay,
there's
tell
some
me
notes
about
there.
this.
This is the bird
Why?
park in Jurong in Singapore, and I think I was just feeling clumsy, and I felt, let me. So there were more people like this, more sculptures like this around, and I was there with two, three more people who said, "Why not go and sit?" And those are places you should not enter because it's like this safe, wo laga rehta hai, don't enter wala. Somehow quickly jumped and sat in for a picture. Yeah, broke a rule.
Wow. Okay, tell me about the next picture, and also tell me what is with you and guitar and sleeping.
Again, I'm
Guitar is your
really
favorite pillow.
Again, I'm really sleeping, by the way. This is in church. This is in church on stage. Practice is about to start in, say, another 15 minutes or so. And I think the team must be, getting ready, preparing, and I crashed. So this is at church, yeah. And I actually slept off there also. I think we didn't sleep. We never used to sleep much. So wherever I got 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I used to. Now I sleep so much. I should not be.
But all your sleep was surely with a guitar.
I mean, so I'll be honest. So Sam gifted me his own guitar at the wedding, which is one of the most precious gifts I ever have. Chriselle actually messaged Sam sometimes saying he never leaves the guitar. So it's true. I kind of always have an instrument right beside me, and yeah.
Right. So the next picture is one of my favorite pictures of yours, and you have to tell me what was the scene, what is it about,
hmm
and are you making your wife cry here?
Yeah, this is the day I proposed to her. It was a very, very sweet day. My parents, were there. Her parents, she's watching a video of her parents wishing her on a video message. They were in Dubai, they were in Alain at that time. And in the background, there are about 10, 15 friends who helped me set up the whole location. A nice tent. We put lights, balloons, petals on the floor, got a cake, and got a stage setup. I sang a song almost. I mean, I kind of tried to sing a song. I was nervous and freaking out. And then, you know what? One of the most interesting things about the proposal is right after we proposed, I'm like, come on, let's worship the Lord. And we worshipped in
Wow.
that tent inside, and it was a beautiful, beautiful evening. Yeah. I didn't, oh, by the way,
So,
one fact which I don't mind sharing. You know, when you
yeah,
propose to somebody, you ask them, will you marry me?
yeah.
I actually didn't ask her. I took her hand and I put the ring. I'm like, I'm not asking you. This is done. So yeah, that's another fact.
Yeah, wow, that's a nice trick, guys. If you want to marry somebody,
Oh yeah, you can
take
ask
the
me. I've become a pro at setting up the whole thing. I can tell you. I mean, I didn't do it. I want to thank my friends who helped me figure it all out. But of course, I planned the whole thing, how it should look, where it should be, what time, and we went to the location so many times to figure it out. How I had to take her there, first of all. This was her first visit to Nagpur, and she came home. My parents, I said, we're all going to have dinner outside. And instead of having dinner, I said, we drive for a while. Took her on a long drive to this location. She's thinking, where are we going? And then I said, oh, we got lost and all, full acting. And then I said, wait, I'll come back. I want to use the washroom. By the time I sent somebody else to go and open the door and knock on her door. And there were 10 friends with roses welcoming her into the location. And yeah, it was a very sweet day. We have videos of it. So yeah, it's a very
wow,
sweet
so
day.
nice. So we're coming to the last picture, and this is again one of my favorite picture of yours. And tell me about that smile.
Ah, have I lost weight? Okay. um, yeah, I think that that was definitely what a moment. There's also one of my best friends there with the camera in the back trying to click that one. So yeah, I think this is me looking at. To be honest, I probably kept feeling at the what's it called, the proposal. I personally
Yeah.
teared, feeling I don't deserve this. But this is the day after a year after that where I look at her and I'm like, thank you, Lord. So I actually felt man enough to stand in front of her. And I think you were saying finally. So
Wow, so nice. So that's it for the photo flashbacks.
you're very good at
And
this.
now we come to the last session of the day, which are the assumptions that people did about you. So
Okay.
you don't have to explain anything or say anything. You just have to say if it's true or if it's false or yes or no, any
Okay.
whatever suits you. Okay,
Okay.
I'm shooting. Okay.
Okay.
Nehemiah is a food lover.
Yes.
He was a
100%.
scholar. He was a scholar in school.
Only in ninth and 10th grade.
He always replies to every message from everybody on all the social media platforms.
That's actually true.
Wow, that's so sweet. Uh, Nemo is a child at heart.
I mean, if you think so. Yeah.
Tell if it's true or
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I think so. Yeah. And I would love to be that way, sure.
Okay. Nehemiah was a lead guitarist before.
No, I was a bass guitarist, and I still feel like I am. I wish I could
Okay.
play this.
Okay. So the next assumption is he loves Natalia a lot, and
This
he
must be
would
her
kill
only.
anyone for her. True.
To say kill, I would get into trouble. But yes, Nat, I love you very much, and nobody messes with Nat.
And will you kill anybody for her?
I can't, Nat. Sorry. I will go to the court. I'll call the cops. I'll call your pastor, but I can't kill them.
Okay, so the next is Nehemiah likes pedicures.
Is this Abison? Because yeah,
Okay, it's
me and
true, right?
Abison actually went together to Delhi, and we got, yeah, and then me and Jason went together in Kerala. So yeah,
Nice. So Nehemiah is trying to be fit these days,
mentally, yeah,
physically.
not really. I that time is yeah. I would like to, but no, not really.
Okay. Next assumption is Nehemiah stayed in Nagpur yet cannot speak Marathi.
I can actually, but you will not like it. That's the point.
One
मला
thing
मराठी
that you
येते
would
खूप
Chan.
छान.
Uh, next, he is a trained singer and a trained musician.
Not at all trained. I think, yeah, I don't want to explain it in a long answer, but no, not trained at all. In fact, music
Okay.
classes always kicked me out. I go there and they'll be like, "You're not listening to us, get out."
Okay. So okay. He loves cooking.
Not at all. I tried once, and that was it.
That was it. It seems. He speaks very low and soft.
Not always. You should see me get mad also sometimes.
Okay. Okay. So the last assumption is a little weird one, but Nehemiah promised himself he will not eat biryani until his wife makes it for his friend.
I'm thinking who went and miscom. Okay, so no, not true. I am eating it every alternate day, every third day. My wife makes amazing chicken biryani, egg biryani, and even next we'll have prawn day. She says yes after this. So.
You're teasing people enough.
She's a very good cook, by the way. I'll post pictures later. I stopped posting food pictures a long time ago because I felt it wasn't fair for people who are hungry. But at the same time, she cooks amazing food, by the way. Definitely prayed for that on my knees for a long time.
So that was it for today's day and today's interview. And before we end, is there anything that you want to say that about yourself or anything that you still want to say before we end?
I just want to tell people not to give up and not to lose hope because a lot of people are watching right now who probably, feel like one of the biggest problems that we have growing up is we compare ourselves with other people and we feel we're not good enough compared to somebody else, or we have this standard that we look at outside and we think we can never be like that. See, you're never supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be the best that God has made you to be. And if you don't give up, you're going to step out and you're definitely going to shine. But for that, you first of all, you need to stay alive. Because I personally have been in seasons where I wanted to give up even my life. And, I was really at the down of my life where I felt I can't do this anymore. But those are the moments where I want you to remember and speak into yourself and say, hey, I'm not gonna give up. So पीछे नहीं मुड़ूंगा, हार नहीं मानूंगा, बढ़ता रहूंगा संग तेरे, because God is with you and He's for you.
Wow, thank you so much for that word. And thank you so much for saying yes to Tales to Testimony, coming over and giving so much of your time.
Thank
And
you.
it was so beautiful having you. Thank you for sharing all that you did and for being so real with all your stories, with all your life parts.
You've
We
been
were
amazing. I've loved this. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so glad that you like this, and the people for sure. I was saying the comments they like really enjoyed it. So thank you once again for doing this. Thank you, people, for joining in. I'll see you all next Monday with another beautiful person and their real stories. So here is we will say thank you again and sign off. This is Tales to Testimonies, real humans, real stories, and real hearts. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.